just said my name is Daisy McAndrew. I'm a British journalist, but I am not the reason you are here. This man is the reason you are here. We're all so thrilled that will.i.am could make the time for us today. And of course, Will, you're known around the world for your music, for selling millions and millions of singles, for being in the Black Eyed Peas. But of course, what a lot of people don't know is that you've had simultaneous other job, almost like a day job, and your love of technology, your entrepreneurialism, your philanthropy. When did the techie side of you come out?
I've always loved computers. I'm not a traditional musician from the perspective of playing an instrument. My instrument is the computer. So I wanted to dive into that realm and understand the folks that were behind the tool that liberates my creativity. I was blessed to have been a part of the launching of iPods and iTunes. Apple selected the Black Eyed Peas to launch that product back in 2003. I became really good friends with Jim Basile and the founders of RIM, and worked with the folks in Waterloo on BlackBerry back in 2006. Was really good friends with Sean Fanning, who created Napster. So I just really love that world. And that really pushed me to be super passionate about technology. And the part that really I take pride in is being a part of Beats. I was a third equity shareholder in Beats, a silent member, but contributed leaps and bounds that helped me, really add to the growth of that company. So thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Dr. Dre, when we sold the company to Apple.
And I suppose looking back at how music and technology in your life has come together, it's almost like your life represents what's happened in the wider world subsequently. Because of course, for a long time, people thought of technology on one side and creativity on another side as the two not necessarily coming together. Now, of course, nowadays, so for instance, in the old days, people would think that the IT crew or the IT people were not the creative people. Now I think people have moved a long way. But actually marrying creativity and technology has been something that you've been at for decades.
Yeah, I realize that our industry, the music industry, at its core is technology.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be a recording industry if it wasn't for Thomas Edison and the gramophone. There wouldn't be radio if it wasn't for, Marconi, Tesla, Edison, and the inventions of, that we've had in the early 1900s. So here we are in a brand new realm that's about to kick off, and it's exciting.
And talking about where we are now and looking back at your childhood, you grew up a kid of the 80s. You're a bit younger than me, but we're 3 years difference. We were both kids of the 80s, and that had its own. We had our own technology, sort of just at the beginning. Looking at the kids now, though, they are right there at the center of that, fourth industrial revolution, and the technology that they are interacting with every day is completely different to the technology that we were interacting with. And I wonder if that is, for you, a source of excitement or a source of nervousness on their behalf, all the technology that's bombarding them all the time. Is that something we should be fearful of or completely embracing?
Right now is the most exciting time to be creative. This is the age of the idea person. Because now you can materialize an idea instantly. You don't have to wait for someone to, open the door for you to see a script, or you don't have to have all this back knowledge of how to, create a screenplay. You could do that immediately, instantly. You don't have to play an instrument. You're going to be able to speak to the machine, and the machine would be able to execute and with banter, what's inside your mind. And so that's a pretty magnificent time that we're in. And we've never seen this liberation when it comes to the individual with an idea.
And of course, you're talking about artificial intelligence, you're talking about some of these bots that can create, but of course there are the naysayers saying, but that's going to replace creativity. That's going to stop children and adults being creative because they can just tell a computer to do it for them.
There's truth to that. But I'm an optimist and I believe in the true creative. Just like, imagine you were a painter and you painted landscapes for a living. And then someone introduced you to a person that could take a photo of it. That didn't stop painters from painting. And not everyone's a great photographer just because you can aim a camera at a landscape. Like, you still have to have an eye. You still have to have an idea. The computer is awesome. And yes, it's going to be able to create some things. But a human with a big imagination at the helm, guiding, bantering, ping-ponging, editing, you're going to have tomorrow's James Camerons times 1,000.
So in some ways, you're saying that the computer can help, assist, lift up an individual, but it's not going to replace that individual's creativity. But as far as elitism is concerned, because of course a lot of time creativity and the arts might, like a kid might think, how do I break into the world? Will this level of technology help somebody who doesn't have friends in high places? Or, I look at my kids, they're 16 and 15, it's all about TikTok, it's all about putting yourself, using social media to get yourself out there. But does that help somebody break through?
No, it's going to be super crowded. Humans competing against humans is noisy. Now humans, competing against machines, it's going to be noisier because the machine is going to be able to compete on 15 seconds TikTok because the bar of awesome is so low. So it isn't like the stuff that people are consuming is Stevie Wonder, Lionel Richie, Prince, A grade, the highest of human imagination. That's not what, there's some pretty cool stuff out there, but it's not like that. So the bar is so low, so that means the machine is going to be able to, spit out a whole bunch of random okay stuff.
So the machine can regurgitate or gurgitate a load of vanilla stuff. Yeah. That's not brilliant, but it's still going to take a brilliant individual to harness all that and make something really good.
The idea, the big idea person is yet to really truly collaborate with these tools. There's some amazing things like Mid-Journey. That's the most exciting technology that I've seen in a very long time. Wow, are these creators creating on Mid-Journey freaking amazing.
Tell me more.
Mid-Journey's freaking amazing. Yes, it's fantastic.
Okay, so we've talked a bit about the creative process, but of course when we're talking about technology, the digital divide, kids who are trying to break into that world, there's a whole nother divide, whether somebody's, middle-class parents like myself worry that our kids are online too much, but some kids can't get online at all because they haven't got access to Wi-Fi, to the internet, to the digital skills. Now, I know that's somewhere where your foundation and your philanthropy has tried to step in.
Yeah, we just outfitted the ghetto that I'm from with, no-cost, high-speed internet because we realized during COVID, I have a program I Am Angel Foundation in Boyle Heights, East Los Angeles, where we teach kids robotics and computer science and college prep. But during COVID, we saw this huge gap. We didn't realize just how, how big the divide was and how much, these families depended on schools to bridge that divide, whether it's, 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. When they were learning from home, they barely were having that one meal. And so for families, they have to decide, am I going to give connectivity or food?
Yeah.
So we realized that at the foundation, and we just provided no-cost, high-speed connectivity for the neighborhood so that the kids and the families can not only learn, but they can, engage in the connectivity that we provide for them with schools, gaming. A lot of times people frown on gaming, but gaming is an industry as well. So now the kids in the neighborhood can see a path in gaming as a career. They could see a path in computer science, robotics, because connectivity is a human right? Because you're not just using it to connect, you're using it to work, you're using it for families that are in the neighborhood that need virtual doctors. That's their way to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Right. So now the neighborhood has that. So it's really, really, really awesome.
And you started the foundation 15 years ago, helping 65 kids. You're helping 12,000 now. What are the ambitions for your foundation?
Millions of kids is where I wanted to grow, because the digital divide, we know what that is. And as technology gets more and more advanced, it's the kids that come from the neighborhood that I come from that are going to be, at that intersection that are going to be impacted the most. The Uber jobs, the truck driving jobs, the delivery jobs, the cashiers, the call centers, blue collar jobs. White collar jobs are questionable with generative AI. And so that's the reason why we've been focusing for the past 12 years, getting kids in and around computer science, robotics, autonomy, writing algorithms, training data, so that they can not only fill jobs, but create the jobs of tomorrow.
Yeah. And it's not just, wealth isn't the only demographic that matters when it comes to STEM jobs and technology training and so on. You've talked before about lack of diversity in this industry. And I guess for a lot of kids, you have to see somebody doing a job to start to believe that you could do it. And of course, we know that music and sport are jobs that people of color have been very, very successful at. Technology, less so.
Yeah, and Beats really showed the world that we could contribute in the world of tech as well. So Samsung didn't see us coming, Sony didn't see us coming, Panasonic, Sennheiser, Bose, Harman Kardon, no one saw Beats coming. And we not only, punch culture super hardcore, we inspired folks in these companies to follow what we were able to build. And with Jimmy's leadership and Dr. Dre's awesomeness, we built an amazing brand. That's a brand, people of color. And for Apple to acquire it for over $3 billion just shows you what, the inner city, urbanites, culture can do in this realm. And that was the first and definitely not the last.
Yeah. And I know you're on boards of the World Economic Forum talking about this issue and other issues, but obviously Beats was important. Are there more Beats coming in its wake?
Yes, but not just hardware, software. Software is my contribution to, follow up with what we did with Beats. So this new company that I started called FYI.ai is a Web 3.0 messenger for creative enterprise and productivity, collaboration for B2B and B2C. And so that's what's next up to really shake culture and show folks, how AI can really transform individuals, small teams, big teams.
So it's an app, it's called FYI, and what's it trying to replace? What role is it trying to fulfill?
It's not replacing anything, it's filling the hole and a gap that's not there. So imagine you're any type of creative, a marketer, a designer, an illustrator, a trainer, a chef, homes decor, whatever it is, whatever type of a mom, a father, a teacher, a student, a tutor. A lot of these folks are working from a messenger, right? They're working for WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, an iMessage. But to do that, you need a Dropbox and a WeTransfer, and sometimes Zoom or email. And when you have these 5 different platforms working from, your IP's at risk, your conversations are all over the place, and it's hard for your team to really sync up. It's hard for anybody to really, save time and strategize. So we've created a singular platform. It's a Web 3.0 messenger with generative AI in the loop to help you and your team, whether it's big or small, strategize, organize, plan, and stay on top of the things that you are passionate about. Focus your ideas with AI.
And how long have you been using the app, and what difference is it? I mean, I'm just thinking about I can think of lots of uses that I would have. I mean, one of the things, most basic of all, which you've touched on is, just discussions about this conference. Sometimes I'm thinking, was that chat on WhatsApp? Was that discussion on email? Was that discussion on the phone? And I'm searching, trying to remember who said what, when, to who. I guess that's the kind of problem that this is trying to solve, because it's all in one place.
Yeah, it's all in one place. It's secure with elliptical curve cryptography methodologies, issuing everybody a key to their account, their data, because data is gold, and yours is yours. And everything you do should be held and controlled by the individual, the team, and the company. So we've been building it for 3 years now, and we launch in March.
Now, you just said that data is gold, and obviously that brings us to another very obvious point of controversy for a lot of people. Data is, we know, the modern gold rush. It's what a lot of organizations make all their money using. Where do you stand on an ethical stance on data, whether it's facial recognition, whether it's more traditional data, and how much of a problem that is?
So my other career, I write songs, and the songs I write are mine, and I was able to take care of my family with the things that I write. And those songs, if you break them down, are a part of my personality, right? The things that I've been through, my viewpoint on the world, it's part of my DNA. It's part of my identity. And when it comes to data, we give our data to all these companies. And it shouldn't be that way. Your data is yours. And at FYI, we believe in the identity, that yours, things that you create, belongs to you. And here's encryption keys for that. We don't sell your data. We don't do any of that stuff. And there's ways for companies to make money without having to pry on individuals' privacy and civil liberties. That we're going to look back at practices that were done in the recent past as inhumane, and I can't believe we allowed that to happen. And so, that's what we believe in.
And Will, if you think that's the case, that we'll be looking back on some of this, gold rush as a time where people were trampled over, who are the victims in that? Is it people losing the ownership of? Does it come back to creativity?
I think we all are the losers in that, because we didn't know how transformational this technology was when we hopped on it to get free products, not knowing that it's actually not free. We're paying for it in some other form. And as generative AI is now introduced into the world, you know, there's going to be so many different companies that have their version of generative AI. And I believe at FYI that an individual should have their AI. This is yours. And train it for you. This is your thing. And to do that, you should be mindful, and we're going to do our job to teach and educate folks on the power of data, why they should mine their data themselves, and make sure that folks are not taken advantage of because they don't understand the realms of technology, computation, algorithms, and that's our moral ground that we want to stay on.
But I suppose people would say a Google search is for free and it's very quick and very effective because that is a free service.
Yeah, that's Web 2.0. And Web 3.0, what is it? And so we want to be the ones that define what Web 3.0 is. Right? We know the difference between Web 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0 right now is the definition for that. The folks with the big ideas, the folks with, you know, a moral compass to make sure that folks live awesome lives, get the information that they know in a safe, secure place. Yeah, that's what we want to do with 3.0.
And we've talked a bit about the digital divide, about issues with data protection or AI, but you are so immersed in technology. Are you a good sleeper? Do you sleep well at night?
Yeah, I sleep enough.
I'm just wondering if there are things about the modern world, because you really understand it and can, you know, and you are, you know, somebody who thinks deeply about the future, if there are things that keep you awake at night about the world we're living in or the world we're about to live in.
If I worry too much, that's not good. My imagination is too big. So I always try to stay optimistic. I sleep because I try to solve problems. And I sleep because creatively I like to surround myself with folks that we could banter and ping pong and brainstorm that come from different disciplines. And so when you're trying to solve a problem, the problem doesn't scare you. There's lots of problems out there. And the moment you start dwelling on those problems, yes, you're going to lose sleep. But if you're trying to solve the problem creatively, then that's exciting. And to me, this is the most exciting time, the best time to be creative.
And what would you say might be the next big breakthrough? I mean, clearly we're living in an astonishing AI world at the moment where things, you know, some of these chat boxes, I mean, personally, or chat box, you know, the one that's in the news at the moment, which people are saying is going to replace homework, I think that's a brilliant idea. I think homework sucks. I don't think homework teaches kids anything. And so if they can get rid of homework, because everybody's going to be writing it on AI anyway, and tell children, which is what some British schools are beginning to do, next week we're going to be learning about the Romans. Come to the class having done some research on the internet, so you've taught yourself, which is what the world of work is like, isn't it? You go into a meeting having done a bit of preparation, and then we will have a lesson with a teacher and we'll take it to the next step, but we're not going to entrust you to use, or we're not going to risk you using AI to write your homework. That seems to me progress rather than regression. So that doesn't worry me. But I guess other aspects of AI do worry me, and particularly the creative side of things, whereas you've reassured us that you're not that worried about that.
Yeah, speaking of school hasn't changed since my grandma or my mom went to school.
Yeah.
And so the concept of homework, I think we're going to realize that it's about life work. Not just work that you do at home or after you leave school, but how are you always learning? What is the concept of forever learning when you have an agent that will always be there with you to banter with to give you insights on things that you should be, interested in based on your aspirations, based on your goals, and yeah, people have dreams. There's so many people that have dreams that don't know the first step or the next step to materialize that dream. We need an army, wrong word, a herd, a flock of people that are going to dream up tomorrow's, industries. And homework's not the only thing that's going to do that. We need workforce development. We need day-to-day dreamers that are materializing those dreams. So it's a massive, inspirational, motivational effort that adults have to do for this new generation that's going to walk up into the world with something that we've never had before. We've never had an engine like we have where you can converse with a machine, collaborate with a machine, communicate contextually with a machine. GPS is the only thing that's close to where we're going. GPS, you could say, hey, Siri or whoever, get me from this point to that point. And if I make a left when I should be making a right, it redirects me. I can't do the same thing with, hey, I want to weigh a certain amount of pounds by a certain time. Or, hey, I like my bank account to go from X to that. There's no GPS for dreams. There's no GPS for aspirations and the things that you want to do. That's where we are going. This is the beginning of that, and that's what our goals are for FYI, is to help people focus their interests, focus their ideas to materialize their dreams into reality.
And Will, some of these issues that we're just touching on are so fundamental to how people live their lives, society, and sometimes I worry that politicians don't get it. Now, I'm not asking you to be political, but you speak to a lot of people, and I speak to a lot of people, and an audience here understands how big the technological issues and questions are and how much they're going to affect society. And sometimes when I meet politicians or political people, I think, you're still living in the dark ages. You don't understand how things have changed so much. And I just wonder if you ever feel like that.
Just like there's good singers, there's bad singers, there's great politicians and bad politicians. But not every politician is bad. There's some that are really bad. But I've met some pretty awesome ones. Yeah. And so I don't like to have general, outlook. I'm an optimist, and I think we are, like I said, this era is an amazing one, and it's going to make it clear as day on what we have to do to inspire the next generation, mentor them, motivate them, so that they apply themselves to create industries and companies that we can't even imagine with these new tools. This generative AI is a tool. It's going to render jobs obsolete, but it's going to be responsible in the building blocks for careers and industries that we are going to love.
I completely agree with you, and I'm an optimist, and I don't believe that, everybody knows that a lot of jobs are going to go, but I firmly believe that more jobs will be created. Of course, the difficulty with that is that the speed with which people, not just kids, but older people, are going to have to be upskilled and reskilled is going to have to be pretty fast. And I wonder whether your foundation is very much aimed towards kids, younger people, but I wonder if training older people is something that you think about.
Yeah, so reskilling, upskilling, I say, let's not say that anymore. We're in an age of forever learning.
Yeah.
So if we adopt this forever learning, then the concept of upskilling is, that's redundant, because we're always going to be learning, right? No matter the age you are, you're going to have a tool, and you're going to want to make sure that that tool, that agent that you have, is giving you all the insights, all the coordinates to apply yourself, to solve problems, and materialize ideas.
Well, we've got 30 seconds left, Will. 2023, we're only just a few weeks into it. Any big plans this year? Anything you want to finish off on?
Yeah, so FYI is launching in March. Grow it, grow it, grow it. Inspire folks to hop on the platform so they can materialize their ideas as well. Grow the foundation and prepare and mentor the next generation to see themselves. Equality is not and inclusion. Diversity is not just joining big companies. Inclusion and diversity is for folks that have been left behind to compete and diversify the competition.
That's a lot to fit in 1 year. Very, very ambitious. Ladies and gentlemen, please would you show your appreciation for will.i.am.